get into
Yeah.
some trade conversation. And I know it's super early, right? We're still in October. The Islanders have played, 9 games this year, the whole thing. I get that.
Yeah.
But there was a quote this week from Frank Saravalli that really stuck out to me. And immediately JG Pageau's name came to mind.
Yeah.
And the quote was, there's maybe a third of the teams in the league that are looking for a center at this exact point in time. So the market is going to be there, not necessarily right now, but at some point this year. We've talked about Pageau. I feel like this is the third straight year
Yes.
in terms of trade rumors, right? He's in the final year of his deal. He's 32, turning 33 this year. The likelihood of him re-signing is very small. I know to some it probably feels like we're beating a dead horse because we talk about it all the time, but this is one that really stands out with that kind of quote on the actual, like, from an NHL insider talking about the need for a third of the teams in the NHL.
Yeah, and I think a couple of days before that, you had Jeff Merrick talking about. It's very, very clever the way they put the social media post out, like trading trade Callum Ritchie type of thing, and you're like, whoa, what is Jeff going to talk about? And he's like, well, if you're looking for trade scenarios, you know who I'd look at? Callum Ritchie. And you're like, what? Not because the Islanders are ever going to trade him. And he's like, oh, here we go. Because if he plays well, then they're going to be more willing to trade Jean-Gabriel Pageau. Yeah, a freaking course. But that gets the kind of thought going first, right? And it's, again, I'm not crapping on them for putting out the post that they put out. Like, he's absolutely right, Jeff Merrick is. And they're right to put it that way on social media, because that's how it's going to get all those clicks. And that's the kind of business we're in. But you have that going. And then, as you say, a third of the teams in this league are looking for a center. What better center than Jean-Gabriel Pageau to fill that void? I'm sure some of them are looking for first-line centers, which obviously he is not, but most of them are probably looking for depth centers to boost other guys up, and he can very well fill that void.
Right. Like, if there's a team shopping for a first or even second-line center, then JG Pageau is not that guy.
No.
But that's usually not the case with contenders going into the deadline. They're contenders because they usually have star players, right? Mm-hmm. And those players are, on their top pair or on their top couple lines. Teams are looking for depth to get them over the hump. That's how it goes every year, and that's why teams are more willing to rent depth pieces. JG Pageau at this point in his career, at 32, soon to be 33, is a rental for a team that is trying to win a Stanley Cup. And through 9 games, he's played all 9 games. He has 5 points. He's playing 14 minutes a night, and he's winning 58% of his faceoffs. And I feel like I say this all the time too, but that's very valuable to a contending team. That's why the Islanders traded for him in the first place, right? Because they were in a spot where they thought, hey, this is a piece that could put us over the top. They were trying it with Derek Brassard as their third center, and it wasn't working because they had to move him to the wing. But he's going to win well over 50% of his faceoffs. He does it every single year. He could give you, 40 points from your third line center. You can play on the penalty kill. You could play on the power play if he had to. Kind of a jack of all trades player.
Yeah, exactly. You can use him everywhere. Shut down, forecheck, offense only if for some reason, if he's got to jump up in the lineup because someone's out injured at the time. He can do absolutely everything well, very well even. He's currently shooting at 25%, which is not sustainable in any way, but you got a guy who has shot at 17% over a full year. Like, that was a long time ago, but still. This is a guy that any team could use wherever you are in terms of your project, build, rebuild, contention window. Anyone can use Jean-Gabriel Pageau in some way, shape, or form. And as you're saying, he's at the end of his contract. We can hold money. We can hold up to, we can hold up to half, right? It's just like 2 teams can't hold the money on the same player now.
Yeah.
You've now brought Jean-Gabriel Pageau's bill down to like just under $3 million. That's nothing for some of these teams out there, specifically when we get to the deadline. There's going to be, assuming, that other centers are traded, there's going to be a hell of a demand for Jean-Gabriel Pageau. A hell of a demand. We'll name our price, really.
Yeah, like, I don't think it's crazy to think the Islanders could get a late first-round pick for JG Pageau. Like, we've seen there's examples of worse players than Pageau going for first-round picks. Tanner Chanel. I know that's a few years ago, but, like, still, point remains, the Islanders gave up a first plus for him. Now, that's 6 years ago. It's a long time ago. Yeah. But this happened. I pulled up last year's trade deadlines to see if I could really find a comparable. I don't know if there's a good one jumping out to me. There is. All right, go ahead.
Scott Lawton.
Oh, that's a great one.
Right? Went for Nikita Grebenkin and a 2027 conditional first. The first is top 10 protected and Philadelphia. Yeah, that's the only condition that says top 10 protected. We don't care. Whatever.
Yeah.
Sure, it's 2 years from now, but like you'll still take a first round pick 2 years from now. We can get more because Jean-Gabriel Pageau, better than Scott Lawton. That's not even close.
Clearly, yes.
So like you're looking at as you said, a late first round this year and maybe nothing else. That's a win, man. That's a huge win.
I really would just want the draft pick and not for the reason that you might think and say, oh, well, you're just going to take the pick and draft someone. No, I think it just gives you more flexibility this summer because you just had a draft where you had 3 first rounders. You have one already, your own, Colorado's that you got in the Brock Nelson trade. And if you add a third to that, well, now you're in a spot where you can get creative. And we've talked a lot about the blue line needing work. What if there's an RFA that suddenly becomes available or, anyone, right? Like right-handed defenseman. If another need pops out at some point, I would think it comes on the blue line, but it just gives you more options to add to your roster than just using a draft capital pick.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's exactly right. Cause we've made I shouldn't say it this way, but I should say it this way. This is how I'm going to say it. We've done our rebuild effectively. We've got our 3 main prospects in a draft. We have Matthew Schaefer. We have Callum Ritchie. We have Cole Eiserman already. Like that could be a core right there. But now that you've got these 3 extra first round picks, you don't need to go and draft most of those. Maybe you use one, sure, on a player you really, really like. But you could use the other 2 to make an acquisition specifically on the blue line for someone like, I'm going to say Romanov, but the key here isn't just to get another Romanov-like, but it's to get someone who's 22, 23 years old, just getting going in the NHL. That kind of aligns with the rest of the trajectory from your core players that we just talked about in the Schaefer, Ritchie, blah, 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 blah. Like that's what they need to be doing to supplement this roster going forward. And really kind of kickstart things all at the same time where you don't have it staggered and it just doesn't ever line up.